Admiral Kane Morrison walked into the command center of the Zephyrian Empire's main intelligence building. His blue skin looked darker under the bright lights as his four eyes focused on the massive screens showing data from across the galaxy. Something was very wrong, and he could feel it in his bones. Commander Ilex Thorne stood at the main console with his tentacles moving quickly over the controls. The younger officer turned when he heard Morrison approaching, and the fear in his eyes was clear to see. "Sir, we have a problem," Thorne said as his voice shook slightly. "The 47th Imperial Fleet has gone missing." Morrison felt his blood grow cold. The 47th Fleet was one of their strongest military groups with 12 massive dreadnought ships, 36 cruiser vessels, and over 200 smaller support craft. This fleet had enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems and was commanded by some of their best officers. "Missing how?" Morrison asked as he stepped closer to the displays. "They were on routine patrol near the Outer Rim territories yesterday," Thorne explained while pulling up star charts. "All communication stopped at exactly 14:27 Galactic Standard Time. No distress signals, no emergency beacons, nothing at all." Morrison studied the data flowing across the screens. The last known position of the fleet showed normal operations, with all ships maintaining proper formation and regular check-ins with command. Then suddenly, complete silence. "Have you tried scanning the area?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Multiple times," Thorne replied. "I have run 17 different scans using our most powerful sensor arrays. There are no debris fields, no energy signatures. From weapons fire, no radiation traces from destroyed ships. It is like the entire fleet just vanished into empty space." This made no sense to Morrison. Fleets did not simply disappear without leaving any trace behind. Even if they had been completely destroyed, there would be wreckage scattered across space. Energy readings from the weapons that destroyed them would linger for days or even weeks. "What about other ships in the area?" Morrison asked while walking around the display table. "The nearest Imperial vessels were 3 systems away," Thorne answered. "No other fleet movements were scheduled for that sector. According to our records, it should have been completely empty except for the 47th Fleet." Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. In his 40 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. The Zephyrian Empire controlled nearly half the known galaxy, and their military was the most powerful force in space. Their ships were protected by energy shields that could withstand direct hits from nuclear weapons, and their hulls were made from the strongest metals in the universe. "Sir," Thorne said quietly, "there is something else you should know." Morrison looked at his aide and waited for him to continue. "I have been checking our classified databases," Thorne explained. "This is not the first time something like this has happened." The Admiral felt his heart skip a beat. "What do you mean?" Thorne's tentacles moved over the controls again, and new data appeared on the screens. "Over the past 6 months, there have been other incidents. Smaller groups of ships have gone missing under similar circumstances. Each time the disappearances were classified and kept secret to prevent panic." Morrison studied the new information. The pattern was disturbing. First, individual ships had vanished. Then, small patrol groups. Now an entire fleet. Whatever was causing these disappearances was getting bolder and more powerful. "How many ships total?" he asked. "Including the 47th Fleet, we have lost over 400 vessels and nearly 500,000 personnel," Thorne replied. Morrison felt sick. The Empire was under attack by an unknown enemy, and the leadership had been keeping it secret. How could they fight an enemy they knew nothing about? How could they protect their people if they did not even know what they were facing? "I want all available investigation ships sent to the last known coordinates immediately," Morrison ordered. "Use every scanner we have and search every centimeter of space in that sector." "Yes, sir," Thorne responded while sending the orders. Morrison walked to the large window overlooking the capital city of the Zephyrian homeworld. Millions of blue-skinned citizens went about their daily lives completely unaware that their mighty empire was being slowly destroyed by something they could not see or understand. 3 days later, and many light years away, Fleet Admiral Lucy, Carter sat in her command chair aboard the human battleship UCS Defiance. The ship was old but well-maintained, like most vessels in the human colonial defense force. Humans had always been good at making things last longer than they were supposed. Lieutenant Commander Jake Phillips approached her with a data pad in his hands. His young face looked excited as he handed her the encrypted message they had just received. "Ma'am, we have intercepted another Zephyrian transmission," he said. "They have lost an entire fleet this time." Carter read the decoded message and smiled, slightly. After 30 years of military service fighting against alien empires that saw humans as nothing more than primitive creatures, she finally had some good news to share with Earth Command. High Inquisitor Vrak Nemorian stepped off his transport ship and onto the deck of the Truth Seeker. The massive investigation vessel was the most advanced ship in the Zephyrian fleet with sensor arrays that could detect a single atom of foreign matter in space. If there were any clues about what happened to the 47th Fleet, this ship would find them. Nemorian was tall even for a Zephyrian, standing over 8 feet with the typical blue skin and 4 eyes of his species. His long career investigating crimes across the Empire had given him a reputation for finding answers where others found only mysteries. Admiral Morrison had personally requested him for this mission. "Investigator Quinn, report," Nemorian said, as he entered the main control room. Quinn was a saurid, one of the reptilian species that had joined the Empire centuries ago. His green scales caught the light as he turned from his console. "Sir, we have arrived at the coordinates where the 47th Fleet was last detected. Initial scans are complete." Nemorian walked to the central display where a 3-dimensional map of space showed the area they were investigating. "What have you found?" "Trace amounts of exotic particles," Quinn replied while highlighting areas on the map. "The signatures are consistent with advanced energy weapons, but they do not match anything in our databases." This was both good news and bad news for Nemorian. Good, because it meant they had found evidence. Bad, because it meant they were dealing with technology they had never seen before. "How advanced are we talking about?" he asked. Quinn's forked tongue flicked out as he considered the question. "Sir, the energy readings suggest weapons far beyond anything the Crystalline Consortium or Machine Hegemony possess. Even our own most powerful ship weapons do not produce signatures like these." Nemorian felt his stomach tighten. The Zephyrian Empire had the most advanced military technology in the known galaxy. They had defeated every enemy they had ever faced through superior firepower and better equipment. If someone had weapons that surpassed their own, the Empire was in serious danger. "Continue scanning," he ordered. "I want to know everything about what happened here." Many light years away, Captain Ryan Brooks sat in the command chair of the HSS Silent Runner. His ship was unlike any other vessel in human space. While most human ships were built to look old and primitive, the Silent Runner was a masterpiece of advanced technology hidden beneath a disguise of outdated metal plating. Brooks was a thin man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had spent his entire career commanding stealth missions deep in alien territory. Today's mission was his most important yet. "Captain," whispered Petty Officer Lisa Morgan from her sensor station, "the Zephyrian investigation ship has arrived at the target coordinates." Brooks nodded. The Silent Runner was positioned 3 light years away, far beyond the detection range of any known alien technology. Their passive sensors could monitor Zephyrian communications without being detected. "What are they finding?" he asked. Morgan studied her displays. "They are detecting trace particles from our quantum weapons. The signatures are confusing them because they have never seen anything like it before." Brooks smiled. Quantum dissolution weapons were humanity's greatest secret. These weapons did not simply destroy enemy ships, they broke down the very atoms that made up the target. This left only trace particles behind, and no debris fields or wreckage that could be studied. "Any word from Admiral Carter?" he asked his communications officer. "Yes, sir," came the reply. She confirms that Operation Ghost Protocol remains active. We are to continue monitoring while remaining completely hidden. Ghost Protocol was the most ambitious deception in human history. For over 50 years, humanity had been secretly studying every major alien power in the galaxy. They had infiltrated alien communications networks, placed hidden sensors throughout alien space, and learned everything there was to know about their enemies. At the same time, humans had carefully maintained the appearance of being a primitive species barely capable of interstellar travel. Every alien power in the galaxy believed that humans were centuries behind them in technology and posed no threat whatsoever. The truth was exactly the opposite. Human science had advanced far beyond anything the aliens possessed. While alien, species focused on building bigger ships and more powerful conventional weapons, humans had unlocked the secrets of quantum physics and dimensional manipulation. Back aboard the Truth Seeker, Investigator Quinn was becoming more puzzled by what his sensors were finding. Sir, the particle traces suggest that the 47th Fleet was not destroyed in a conventional sense. Nemorian looked up from the reports he was reading. Explain. The energy signatures indicate that the ships were broken down at the molecular level, Quinn said while pointing to his data. It is as if something caused every atom in the fleet to simply come apart and scatter into space. This was impossible according to everything Nemorian knew about physics and warfare. Even the most powerful weapons in the galaxy worked by using energy to destroy matter. They did not cause matter to simply stop existing. Could this be some kind of new weapon? He asked. Quinn's scales changed color slightly as he considered the question. This was a sign of stress among his species. Sir, the technology required to accomplish something like this would be thousands of years ahead of anything we understand. No known species in the galaxy possesses such capabilities. Nemorian walked to the main viewing window and stared out at the empty space where an entire fleet had once existed. Hundreds of ships and thousands of crew members had been here just days ago. Now there was nothing but empty space and a few scattered particles that made no sense. Somewhere out there was an enemy with technology so advanced that it seemed like magic. An enemy that could make entire fleets disappear without leaving any evidence behind. An enemy that the mighty Zephyrian Empire knew absolutely nothing about. For the first time in his long career, High Inquisitor Vrak Nemorian wondered if this was a mystery he would be able to solve. Inquisitor Nemorian returned to the main intelligence center on the Zephyrian homeworld with more questions than answers. The investigation of the 47th Fleet's disappearance had revealed impossible technology and mysterious energy signatures, but no real clues about who was responsible. Admiral Morrison was waiting for him in the secure briefing room along with several other high-ranking officers. The Admiral's 4 eyes looked tired and worried as Nemorian took his seat at the conference table. "What did you find?" Morrison asked without any pleasantries. Nemorian activated the holographic display and showed his data to the assembled officers. The fleet was destroyed by weapons that operate beyond our understanding of physics. The ships were broken down at the atomic level and scattered across space as individual particles. General Kex Vorthak, the Empire's military commander, leaned forward with interest. "What kind of weapons could do such a thing?" "That is the problem," Nemorian replied. "No known technology in the galaxy is capable of this. Even our most advanced theoretical weapons cannot break down matter in this way." Morrison looked even more worried. "Are you saying we are dealing with completely unknown technology?" "Yes, sir," Nemorian confirmed. "Whatever did this is operating with science far beyond anything we have encountered before." Morrison was quiet for a long moment before speaking again. "There is something else you need to know. The 47th Fleet was not the only one that has disappeared." Nemorian felt his blood grow cold. "What do you mean?" Morrison activated his own display and showed classified files that Nemorian had never seen before. Over the past 6 months, we have lost 17 Imperial fleets under similar circumstances. Each disappearance was classified to prevent panic, but the pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. The data was shocking. 17 fleets meant over 3,000 ships and millions of personnel. The Empire was being slowly destroyed by an unknown enemy, and most people had no idea it was happening. Lieutenant Zara Thorne, daughter of Commander Wilex Thorne, stood up from her position at the data analysis station. She was young but had already shown great skill at finding patterns in complex information. "Sir," she said while manipulating the holographic star chart, "if we plot the disappearances in chronological order, something interesting emerges." The display changed to show the locations and times of each fleet disappearance. What Nemorian saw made his stomach drop. The disappearances were not random attacks, but followed a clear pattern moving inward toward the Empire's core worlds. "They are coming for us," General Vorthak said quietly. The pattern showed a spiral of destruction that was slowly tightening around the most important planets in the Empire. Whatever enemy they faced was not just powerful, but also intelligent and strategic. They were systematically weakening the Empire before moving in for the final attack. Many light years away on Earth, General Paul Martinez stood in the secure command bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility was humanity's most secret military installation, where their most sensitive operations were planned and controlled. Colonel Amy Watson approached him with the latest reports from their agents scattered across the galaxy. "Sir, Phase 3 is proceeding ahead of schedule. The Zephyrians are beginning to panic and suspect their traditional enemies." Martinez nodded with satisfaction. The plan was working perfectly. For over a century, humanity had been carefully preparing for this moment when they would reveal themselves to the galaxy not as a primitive species, but as its newest and most dangerous power. "Status on our stealth fleet?" he asked. "All 96 ships are in position and awaiting orders," Watson replied. "The Zephyrians still have no idea we possess faster-than-light travel capabilities or weapons that can destroy their most powerful ships." Martinez walked to the large display showing the positions of human vessels throughout the galaxy. Ships that appeared on no alien sensors were stationed near every major alien world and military installation. Humanity had been preparing for this day for generations. The truth was far more incredible than any alien species could imagine. While the galaxy's major powers had spent thousands of years fighting each other with conventional weapons and traditional tactics, human scientists had been quietly revolutionizing the very understanding of reality itself. Human physicists had unlocked the secrets of quantum mechanics and dimensional theory. They had learned to manipulate matter at the subatomic level and move ships through folded space-time. Most importantly, they had developed weapons that could disintegrate entire fleets without leaving any evidence behind. "Sir," Watson continued, "intelligence reports indicate that the Zephyrians are planning to blame the crystalline consortium or the machine hegemony for the disappearances." This was exactly what Martinez had hoped would happen. The longer the alien powers spent fighting each other, the more time humanity had to position their forces for the final revelation. "Excellent," he said. "The beauty of this plan is that we are letting them destroy themselves through suspicion and fear while we remain completely invisible." Back on the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Caradon called an emergency meeting of the Imperial War Council. Representatives from across the Empire gathered in the massive council chamber to discuss the growing crisis. Caradon was ancient even by Zephyrian standards, having ruled the Empire for over 2 centuries. His experience had taught him to recognize threats to his power, but this situation was unlike anything he had ever faced. "Admiral Morrison," he said while settling onto his throne, "explain to me how an empire that controls 40% of the known galaxy can lose 17 fleets without knowing who is responsible." Morrison felt sweat forming on his blue skin despite the cool temperature in the chamber. "Your Majesty, we are dealing with an enemy that possesses technology far beyond our own. They can destroy our fleets without leaving any trace and appear to be completely invisible to our sensors. Then who is it? Caradan demanded. The Crystalline Consortium? The Machine Hegemony? One of the smaller powers trying to make a name for themselves? We do not know, Your Majesty, Morrison admitted. The technology involved is unlike anything in our databases. Caradan's 4 eyes narrowed with anger. What about the humans? I know they have been expanding their territory recently. Morrison almost laughed at the suggestion. Your Majesty, human technology is centuries behind our own. They barely have interstellar travel capability and their weapons are primitive by our standards. A single Zephyrian cruiser could destroy their entire fleet. This dismissal of humanity was exactly what Admiral Carter had been counting on for over a century. The careful deception was working perfectly, and soon the galaxy would learn just how wrong they had been about the true nature of human capabilities. Emperor Caradan dismissed the Imperial War Council with no real answers and growing fear in his hearts. The unknown enemy was becoming bolder with each attack, and the Empire's most powerful fleets were vanishing like morning mist. Something had to be done before panic spread throughout the galaxy. Admiral Morrison returned to his office feeling the weight of the Empire on his shoulders. 17 fleets destroyed, and they were no closer to understanding who was responsible. His aide, Commander Ilex Thorne, was waiting with more troubling news. Sir? Thorne said while activating his personal data pad. We have received reports of 3 more incidents in the Outer Rim territories. Morrison felt his stomach sink. More missing fleets? No, sir, these were smaller groups, Thorne explained. Patrol squadrons of 6 to 8 ships each. All disappeared using the same method as the larger fleets. Morrison studied the new data. The pattern was accelerating. Their enemy was not content to wait between major attacks, but was now hitting multiple targets simultaneously. The Empire's military strength was being systematically erased. Have you shared this information with the other powers? Morrison asked. Thorne nodded. Yes, sir. We sent encrypted warnings to the Crystalline Consortium and the Machine Hegemony. Both powers report similar incidents within their own territories. This news was both alarming and somehow comforting to Morrison. Alarming because it meant the threat was even larger than they had realized. Comforting because it meant the Empire was not being specifically targeted. How many ships have the other powers lost? He asked. The Crystalline Consortium reports losing 12 fleets over the past 4 months, Thorne replied. The Machine Hegemony has lost 8 fleets and numerous smaller groups. Morrison walked to his window and looked out at the bustling capital city below. Citizens hurried through the streets unaware that their civilization was under attack by an enemy that seemed unstoppable. The combined losses across all major powers represented thousands of ships and millions of lives. Sir, Thorne continued, there is something else. Intelligence reports suggest that each power suspects the others of being responsible for the attacks. Morrison turned back to his aide. What do you mean? The Crystalline Consortium believes we are using some new secret weapon against them, Thorne explained. The Machine Hegemony thinks the Consortium has developed advanced stealth technology. We suspect both of them are working together against us. Morrison realized they were falling into exactly the trap their unknown enemy wanted. Instead of working together to find the real threat, the major powers were becoming suspicious of each other. This would only make them weaker and easier targets. Meanwhile, Captain Steve Rodriguez commanded the human stealth destroyer HSS Phantom as it drifted silently through space near a Zephyrian investigation fleet. His ship was completely invisible to alien sensors thanks to quantum camouflage technology that shifted the vessel slightly out of normal space-time. Rodriguez was an experienced officer who had spent most of his career on deep reconnaissance missions in alien territory. Today's mission was different, though, because for the first time humanity was preparing to reveal itself to the galaxy. Sir, reported Lieutenant Kelly Thompson from the tactical station, we are receiving the activation signal from Fleet Command. Rodriguez felt his pulse quicken. After decades of hiding and watching, humanity was finally ready to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Signal the rest of the fleet. Operation Revelation is authorized. Throughout the sector, 96 human vessels received the same signal simultaneously. These ships had been positioned near every major alien military installation and investigation site for months, waiting for this moment. Rodriguez watched his tactical display as human ships across the galaxy began to power up their systems. All stations report ready for decloak. The plan was simple but dramatic. In exactly 30 seconds, every human stealth vessel would simultaneously reveal itself to the alien powers. The galaxy would suddenly realize that humanity had been watching them all along. 10 seconds, Thompson counted down. Rodriguez thought about all the years of preparation that had led to this moment. Generations of humans had worked toward this day when their species would finally take its rightful place among the galaxy's major powers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, execute. Across the galaxy, 96 human vessels simultaneously deactivated their quantum camouflage systems. The effect was stunning as sleek, angular ships of completely unknown design suddenly appeared in space where seconds before there had been nothing. High Inquisitor Nemorian was aboard the Truth Seeker when the impossible happened. One moment, his sensors showed empty space around the investigation site, and the next moment, a massive unknown vessel appeared less than 2 kilometers away. "Red alert!" shouted Investigator Quinn as alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Unknown vessel has appeared off our starboard bow." Nemorian rushed to the command center and stared at the tactical display in shock. The ship that had appeared was unlike anything in the Zephyrian databases. Its design was smooth and organic, looking, with no visible weapon ports or engine outlets. "How did it get so close without being detected?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," Quinn replied while frantically working his controls. "Our sensors showed nothing until it suddenly appeared." Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy as human ships revealed themselves near every major alien installation. The coordinated appearance of so many unknown vessels sent shockwaves through every alien government. "Sir," the communications officer reported to Nemorian, "we are receiving a transmission on all frequencies." "Put it on the main screen," Nemorian ordered. The image that appeared was of a human female in a military uniform that none of them recognized. Admiral Lucy Carter looked directly into the camera with calm confidence as she began to speak. "People of the Zephyrian Empire, I am Fleet Admiral Lucy Carter of the Human Colonial Defense Force," she said in perfect Zephyrian language. "For the past 6 months, human forces have been systematically eliminating your military assets as a demonstration of our capabilities." Nemorian felt his world collapse around him. Humans were responsible for the missing fleets. The primitive species that the Empire had dismissed as barely capable of interstellar travel had been destroying their most powerful ships. "Your missing fleets were not destroyed in any conventional sense," Carter continued. "They were dissolved at the quantum level using weapons technology that your science cannot yet comprehend. The transmission was being broadcast simultaneously across every alien communication network in the galaxy. Billions of beings were learning for the first time that humanity was not the primitive species they had been led to believe. We have been observing and studying your empire for over 150 years, Carter revealed. Every major alien power in this galaxy has been infiltrated by human agents and monitored by human technology. Nemorian realized that everything they thought they knew about humans had been a carefully constructed lie. The species they had ignored as insignificant had been secretly preparing for this moment for generations. The galaxy erupted in chaos as Admiral Carter's transmission reached every corner of known space. On the Crystalline Consortium homeworld, High Chancellor Zix Nathera watched the broadcast with her 3 eyes wide in disbelief. The crystal beings had always prided themselves on their superior intellect and advanced technology, but humans had been manipulating them for over a century. "Impossible," Nathera whispered, as her crystalline body changed color to reflect her emotional state. Humans are primitive creatures barely capable of spaceflight. Her military advisor, General Kors Lithian, stood beside her throne studying the tactical implications of what they were witnessing. Chancellor, if what this human says is true, then our entire understanding of galactic politics has been wrong. The machine hegemony's reaction was equally dramatic. Prime Unit Alpha 7 processed the information with the cold logic that defined its species, but even artificial intelligence could be surprised. The machines had calculated human capabilities based on observed technology and behavior, never realizing that everything they observed had been carefully fabricated. Analysis complete, Alpha 7 announced to the assembled machine units. Human deception probability, 99.7% effective. Our strategic assessments require complete recalculation. Unit Beta 12 responded with electronic tones that conveyed concern. Query: if humans possess advanced stealth technology, how many of their vessels are currently within our territory? Alpha 7's optical sensors dimmed as it processed this disturbing possibility. Unknown. Previous sensor data now considered unreliable. Back on the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Caridin watched the broadcast from his throne room with his eyes burning with anger and fear. Everything he had believed about the galaxy's balance of power had just been revealed as an illusion. Admiral Morrison, he commanded through the communication system, get to my throne room immediately. Morrison arrived within minutes, his blue skin pale with shock. He had been watching the same broadcast and understood the implications better than most. The Empire was not dealing with an unknown enemy, but with a known species that had been deceiving them for generations. Your Majesty, Morrison began, but Caridin cut him off with a raised hand. Explain to me how an entire empire of intelligence specialists failed to detect a century-long deception by a species we considered primitive, Caridin demanded. Morrison had no good answer. Your Majesty, if humans have been deliberately hiding their true capabilities, then everything we thought we knew about them was false information. Dr. Neil Foster appeared alongside Admiral Carter in the continuing broadcast, his image being transmitted to every screen in the galaxy. The elderly, human scientist looked directly into the camera as he began to explain the technological superiority that humanity had been hiding. While your species focused on conquest and expansion, we focused on understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself, Foster said in a calm voice. We learned from every species we encountered, incorporated every useful technology, and then improved upon it. Foster activated a holographic display that showed technical specifications beyond anything the alien powers had imagined possible. What you see as primitive human space travel was deliberate misdirection. We have had faster-than-light capability for over 2 centuries. The technical data being shared was staggering. Human ships could travel faster than anything in the alien fleets. Human weapons could disintegrate matter at the quantum level. Human sensors could detect objects across multiple dimensions. Human computers could process information at speeds that made alien technology look primitive. High Inquisitor Nemorian watched the broadcast from aboard the Truth Seeker with growing understanding of just how thoroughly humans had fooled the galaxy. Every piece of evidence he had found about the missing fleets now made perfect sense. Sir, Investigator Quinn said quietly, the particle traces we detected were from human quantum weapons. Nemorian nodded slowly. And the energy signatures that we could not identify were from human technology operating on principles we do not understand. Captain Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the HSS Phantom as alien vessels throughout the sector began powering down their weapon systems. The revelation of human presence was having exactly the effect that Admiral Carter had intended. Sir, Lieutenant Thompson reported, we are receiving surrender requests from multiple Zephyrian ships. Rodriguez smiled. The aliens were smart enough to realize that fighting against an enemy with clearly superior technology would be suicide. Acknowledge their requests but maintain our position. We are here to demonstrate strength, not to accept surrenders. The broadcast continued with President Helen Shaw speaking from the Oval Office on Earth. Her image appeared on screens throughout the galaxy as she delivered humanity's final message to the alien powers. To all the peoples of the galaxy, humanity does not seek conquest or domination, Shaw said with the authority of someone who spoke for an entire species. We seek only security and the right to exist without interference. Shaw's expression became more serious as she continued. However, we will no longer tolerate being dismissed as primitive or insignificant. The age of human isolation is over. Emperor Caradan realized that he faced an impossible choice. He could order his fleets to attack the human vessels, but the humans had already demonstrated their ability to destroy entire fleets without leaving any evidence. He could try to negotiate, but that would mean acknowledging that a species he had considered beneath notice was actually superior to his own empire. "Open a channel to Earth," he commanded his communications officer. Admiral Morrison looked shocked. "Your Majesty, are you certain?" Caradan's 4 eyes focused on his military commander with cold determination. "Admiral, we have just learned that humans have been secretly observing our empire for over a century while systematically destroying our fleets. I think it is time we had an honest conversation with them." Throughout the galaxy, similar decisions were being made by leaders who had suddenly realized that the balance of power had shifted dramatically. The species they had ignored as primitive had just revealed itself to be the most advanced civilization. In known space, Dr. Foster's scientific explanation continued on every screen. Human quantum dissolution weapons operate by destabilizing the molecular bonds that hold matter together. The target simply ceases to exist as a coherent structure and disperses into component particles. The technical details were beyond the understanding of most alien scientists, but the implications were clear. Humans possessed weapons that could erase entire fleets from existence without leaving any debris or evidence behind. Our stealth technology functions by shifting vessels slightly out of normal space-time, Foster explained. This makes us completely invisible to sensors operating in standard dimensional space. Nemorian realized that human ships could be anywhere in the galaxy without being detected. They could observe alien activities, gather intelligence, and position themselves for attacks without anyone knowing they were there. The galaxy would never be the same. In a single, coordinated revelation, humanity had announced itself not as a member of the galactic community, but as its newest and most powerful force. The age of human supremacy had begun not through conquest, but through the simple act of revealing what they had been capable of all along. The immediate aftermath of humanity's revelation sent shockwaves through every government in the galaxy. Within hours of Admiral Carter's broadcast, emergency sessions were being called in every major capital city as leaders struggled to understand what this meant for their civilizations. On the Crystalline Consortium homeworld, High Chancellor Nathara convened an emergency meeting of the Crystal Council. The massive chamber filled with representatives from dozens of crystal worlds, their bodies shifting through different colors as they expressed their emotions about the stunning news. "Council members," Nathara announced as her own crystalline form glowed with urgent orange light. "We face a crisis unlike any in our history. The humans have revealed capabilities that exceed our own by centuries." Elder Zythan, oldest member of the council, pulsed with deep blue skepticism. "How do we know this is not an elaborate deception? Perhaps the humans are exaggerating their abilities to intimidate us." General Lithian activated a holographic display showing the technical specifications that Dr. Foster had shared during the EOB broadcast. "Elder, these readings are consistent with the mysterious attacks we have been experiencing. The energy signatures match perfectly." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Crystalline Consortium had lost 12 fleets to the same unknown enemy that had been attacking the Zephyrian Empire. Now they knew that enemy was humanity, and the technical data proved that human claims were legitimate. "What do we know about current human ship positions?" Nathara asked. "Nothing reliable," Lithian admitted. "If their stealth technology is as advanced as they claim, there could be human vessels throughout our territory right now without our knowledge." This possibility terrified the crystal beings more than any conventional military threat. The idea that their enemies could observe them while remaining completely invisible challenged everything they understood about warfare and politics. Meanwhile, the machine hegemony's response was characteristically logical but equally disturbing. Prime Unit Alpha 7 had spent the past 6 hours recalculating every strategic assessment the machines had ever made about galactic politics. "Unit Beta 12, Alpha 7 announced. "Previous calculations regarding human threat assessment contained fundamental errors. Beta 12's optical sensors focused on the data streaming across their shared network. Specify nature of errors." "Human deception protocols exceeded all predictive models," Alpha 7 replied. "Estimated probability of such successful long-term deception was calculated at 0.003%. The machines prided themselves on their logical analysis and accurate predictions, but humanity had managed to fool them completely. This forced them to question the reliability of all their other assessments about galactic affairs. "Query: Current estimated human military strength," Beta 12 requested. Alpha 7 processed the available data for several seconds before responding. "Unknown. Previous estimates now considered invalid. Recommend immediate reassessment of all human capabilities." Emperor Caridin sat on his throne, studying the reports flowing in from across the Zephyrian Empire. Every military commander and intelligence officer was scrambling to understand how they had been so thoroughly deceived by a species they had dismissed as insignificant. Admiral Morrison stood before the throne with the latest intelligence reports in his hands. "Your Majesty, we have confirmed human vessel signatures in 17 different star systems within our territory." Caridin felt his stomach tighten. "How many ships are we talking about?" "Unknown, sir," Morrison replied. "Our sensors can only detect them when they choose to reveal themselves. There could be hundreds of human vessels throughout the Empire that we know nothing about." The Emperor realized that his mighty empire had been infiltrated more thoroughly than he had ever imagined possible. Human agents and ships had been operating within Zephyrian space for decades, gathering intelligence and positioning themselves for exactly this moment. "What about our allies?" Caridin asked. "Have any of the smaller powers made contact with the humans?" Morrison consulted his datapad. "Yes, sir. We have intercepted communications from over 40 different species attempting to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. Many are offering trade agreements and alliance proposals." This was exactly what Caridin had feared would happen. The smaller powers that had always looked to the major empires for protection were now seeking new arrangements with humanity. The galactic balance of power was shifting rapidly. On Earth, President Shaw met with her cabinet in the Situation Room beneath the White House. General Martinez was participating via secure video link from his command bunker, while Admiral Carter joined from her flagship in space. "The initial response has exceeded our expectations," Carter reported. 43 species have made formal diplomatic contact within the first 12 hours. Shaw smiled with satisfaction. "What about the major powers?" "The Zephyrian Emperor has requested direct communication," Carter replied. "The crystalline consortium and machine hegemony are still debating their responses, but our intelligence suggests they will seek negotiations rather than confrontation." General Martinez leaned forward on his video screen. "Ma'am, our stealth fleets report that alien military forces throughout the galaxy are standing down from combat readiness. No one wants to risk a fight with an enemy they cannot see or understand." Shaw nodded approvingly. The plan was working better than anyone had dared hope. Instead of triggering a galactic war, humanity's revelation had created the exact opposite effect. The alien powers were too frightened to fight and too smart to ignore the implications of human technological superiority. "General, what is the status of our forces?" she asked. "All 96 stealth vessels remain in position," Martinez replied. "We have complete intelligence coverage of every major alien military installation and can respond to any threats within minutes." Dr. Foster joined the meeting from his laboratory, where he had been monitoring alien scientific communications. "Madam President, the alien scientific communities are in complete chaos. They are frantically trying to understand the principles behind our quantum weapons and stealth technology." Shaw was pleased to hear this. "Are they making any progress?" "No, ma'am," Foster replied with a slight smile. "The physics involved are at least 2 centuries ahead of their current understanding. Even if we shared our complete research, it would take them decades to develop similar capabilities." Back in space, Captain Rodriguez received new orders from Fleet Command as he watched alien ships throughout the sector maintaining safe distances from human vessels. The aliens were being very careful not to do anything that might be interpreted as threatening. "Sir," Lieutenant Thompson reported, "we are receiving a priority message from Admiral Carter." Rodriguez activated his communication system. "This is Captain Rodriguez." Carter's image appeared on his screen. "Captain, you and your crew have performed admirably. Phase 1 of Operation Revelation is complete. Prepare for Phase 2. Rodriguez felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "What are our new orders, ma'am?" "You will serve as escort for the diplomatic vessel UCS Harmony," Carter explained. "Earth is sending our first official ambassador to the Zephyrian homeworld." This was a historic moment that Rodriguez had never expected to witness during his career. Humanity was about to establish formal diplomatic relations with the galaxy's most powerful empire, not as a junior partner, but as an equal or superior force. "Sir," Thompson added quietly, "sensors are detecting massive troop movements throughout Zephyrian space. It looks like they are repositioning their forces." Rodriguez studied the tactical display. The aliens were not preparing for war, but were, instead, moving their military assets away from human positions. They were giving humanity space and demonstrating that they had no hostile intentions. The galaxy had changed forever in the span of a single day, and everyone knew there was no going back to the way things had been before. Ambassador Daniel Wright stepped aboard the UCS Harmony with a mixture of excitement and responsibility weighing heavily on his shoulders. As humanity's first official diplomatic representative to the galactic community, he would be making history. With every word he spoke and every decision he made, Wright was a career diplomat who had spent 40 years preparing for a moment he never thought would come. His experience included negotiations with every major corporation on Earth and several hostile nations, but nothing had prepared him for representing his entire species to alien civilizations. Captain Linda Hayes welcomed him aboard the Harmony with military precision. "Ambassador, we will reach the Zephyrian homeworld in 18 hours. Your escort fleet is in position and ready to provide protection if needed." Wright nodded as he reviewed the briefing materials one final time. "Captain, what is the mood among the Zephyrian leadership?" "Intelligence reports suggest they are nervous but cooperative," Hayes replied. "Emperor Caradan has agreed to meet with you personally, which is unprecedented for any non-Zephyrian representative. The Harmony was humanity's most advanced diplomatic vessel, built specifically for this historic mission. Its sleek design incorporated the best of human technology while maintaining an appearance that would impress alien observers without seeming threatening." Wright walked to the observation deck and looked out at the escort ships surrounding them. 6 human destroyers maintained formation around the diplomatic vessel, their quantum camouflage systems partially activated to create an intimidating visual effect. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Emperor Caradan was experiencing the most stressful period of his long reign. The revelation of human capabilities had forced him to reconsider everything he thought he knew about galactic politics and his empire's place in the universe. "Admiral Morrison," he said, as they prepared for the historic meeting, "what do we Know about this, Ambassador Wright? Morrison consulted his data files. Your Majesty, he is an experienced negotiator with a reputation for finding peaceful solutions to complex problems. Our intelligence suggests he has the full authority to speak for the human government. Carradine felt some relief at this news. If the humans had sent someone interested in negotiation rather than conquest, there might be hope for a peaceful resolution to this crisis. What about their military escort? He asked. 6 vessels accompanying the diplomatic ship, Morrison replied. Our sensors can detect them clearly, which suggests they want us to know they are there. This was a careful balance that both sides were trying to maintain. The humans wanted to demonstrate their strength while avoiding any appearance of aggression. The Zephyrians wanted to show respect while maintaining their dignity as the galaxy's dominant power. High Inquisitor Nemorian had been assigned to serve as the Emperor's advisor during the negotiations. His investigation of the missing fleets had given him the most complete understanding of human capabilities among any Zephyrian official. Your Majesty, Nemorian said as they reviewed the diplomatic protocols, I recommend we approach these negotiations with complete honesty. The humans have demonstrated that they know far more about us than we know about them. Carradine nodded in agreement. The time for deception and diplomatic games had passed. Both species needed to establish a relationship based on mutual understanding and respect. Meanwhile, throughout the galaxy, other alien powers were watching the human-Zephyrian negotiations with intense interest. The outcome of these talks would determine how humanity would interact with all the other civilizations in space. High Chancellor Nathara of the Crystalline Consortium called an emergency session to discuss their response to human diplomatic overtures. Council members, we have received a formal request for diplomatic relations from the human government. Elder Zython pulsed with cautious blue light. What are they proposing? Trade agreements, technology exchanges, and mutual defense pacts, Nathara replied. The humans appear to be offering partnerships rather than demanding submission. This was encouraging news for the crystal beings, who had feared that humanity might attempt to conquer the galaxy now that their true strength had been revealed. Instead, the humans seemed interested in establishing a cooperative relationship with existing powers. General Lithian activated his tactical display. Chancellor, our analysis suggests that human military doctrine emphasizes defensive capabilities rather than offensive expansion. Their actions indicate they want security, not conquest. The machine hegemony reached similar conclusions through their logical analysis. Prime Unit Alpha 7 had processed all available data about human behavior and determined that their species represented an opportunity rather than a threat. Unit Beta 12, Alpha 7 announced, human technological capabilities suggest potential for beneficial partnerships. Beta 12's optical sensors focused on the data analysis. Specify nature of potential benefits. Human quantum technology could enhance machine computational efficiency by 347%, Alpha 7 replied. Recommended action: initiate formal diplomatic contact. The machines understood that cooperation with humanity could advance their own technological development by centuries. The logical choice was to establish friendly relations rather than waste resources on a conflict they could not win. Back aboard the UCS Harmony, Ambassador Wright received a priority communication from President Shaw as they approached Zephyrian space. Daniel, Shaw said via secure video link, the entire world is watching this mission. Remember that you are not just representing the United States or even Earth, but all of humanity. Wright felt the weight of that responsibility. Madam President, what are my parameters for these negotiations? Find a peaceful solution that establishes humanity as an equal partner in galactic affairs, Shaw replied. We do not want to rule the galaxy, but we will not accept being treated as a primitive species anymore. Wright understood the delicate balance he needed to maintain. Humanity wanted respect and security without triggering a massive war that could destroy civilizations throughout the galaxy. What about technology sharing? He asked. Shaw considered the question carefully. You may offer limited technological exchanges if it helps establish trust, but our most advanced capabilities must remain secret for now. As the Harmony entered Zephyrian space, Captain Hayes received clearance to approach the home world. Ambassador, we are being escorted by a full Imperial honor guard, 12 dreadnoughts and 36 cruisers. Wright smiled at the irony. The escort force was almost identical in size to the 47th Fleet that had been the first to disappear. The Zephyrians were making a statement about their military strength while simultaneously acknowledging human superiority. Captain, Wright said as they approached the planet, this is either the beginning of a new age of cooperation in the galaxy or the start of a conflict that could destroy everything we know. Hayes nodded solemnly. Yes, sir. And the next few hours will determine which one it turns out to be. The historic first meeting between humanity and the galactic community was about to begin, and everyone involved understood that the decisions made in the coming hours would shape the future of countless civilizations across the stars. Ambassador Wright walked through the corridors of the Imperial Palace on the Zephyrian home world, surrounded by an honor guard of blue-skinned soldiers whose 4 eyes watched him with a mixture of respect and wariness. The palace was a magnificent structure that demonstrated the wealth and power of an empire that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. Emperor Caridin waited in the throne room, a massive chamber with soaring ceilings and walls covered in holographic displays showing the extent of Zephyrian territory. The Emperor himself was imposing even while seated, his ancient eyes reflecting the wisdom and caution of someone who had ruled for over 2 centuries. Ambassador Wright, Caridin said as the human approached the throne, welcome to our world. Your arrival marks a historic moment in galactic affairs. Wright bowed respectfully before responding. Your Majesty, I am honored to represent humanity in these first formal diplomatic relations between our peoples. The Emperor gestured for Wright to approach closer. Ambassador, I must admit that your species has surprised us greatly. We had underestimated human capabilities by a considerable margin. Wright smiled diplomatically. Your Majesty, humanity has always believed in the value of careful preparation and strategic patience. We spent many years learning about the galaxy before choosing to reveal ourselves. Admiral Morrison stood beside the throne and studied the human ambassador carefully. Everything about Wright seemed normal and unremarkable, which made Morrison even more nervous. If this ordinary-looking human represented a species capable of destroying entire fleets, what other capabilities were they hiding? Ambassador, Morrison said, may I ask about the fate of our missing personnel, the crews of the fleets that disappeared? Wright had been prepared for this question. Admiral, I am authorized to inform you that no Zephyrian personnel were harmed during our demonstrations. Your crews were transported to secure facilities where they have been treated with respect and dignity. Morrison felt relief wash over him. Millions of Zephyrian citizens had been reported missing when their fleets vanished, and their fate had been one of his greatest concerns. They will be returned to you as part of our diplomatic agreement, Wright continued. Humanity has no interest in holding prisoners or causing unnecessary suffering. Emperor Caridin leaned forward with interest. What exactly does humanity want from this relationship? Wright activated a holographic display that showed his prepared presentation. Your Majesty, humanity seeks 3 primary objectives in our relationship with the galactic community. The first objective appeared on the display: recognition as an equal member of the galactic community with full rights and privileges. Caridin nodded understanding. This was reasonable and something he could agree to without difficulty. Second, establishment of secure trade relationships that benefit all parties involved. This also seemed acceptable to the Emperor. Trade had always been the foundation of galactic civilization, and humanity clearly had valuable technology to offer. Third, mutual defense agreements to maintain peace and stability throughout the galaxy. Carradine considered this request more carefully. Ambassador, are you suggesting that humanity would help defend other species against threats? Wright nodded, confidently. Yes, Your Majesty. Humanity believes that a stable galaxy benefits everyone. We are prepared to assist in maintaining peace if other powers are willing to do the same. Over the next several hours, the two leaders worked through the details of what would become known as the Terran-Zephyrian Accord. The agreement established humanity as a recognized galactic power while maintaining the existing territorial boundaries of all major empires. Meanwhile, similar negotiations were taking place with other alien powers through secure communication channels. The Crystalline Consortium agreed to a technology-sharing arrangement that would allow both species to benefit from each other's scientific advances. High Chancellor Nethera concluded her discussions with human representatives feeling optimistic about the future. The humans have demonstrated wisdom in their approach to galactic politics, she told the Crystal Council. They seek partnership rather than domination. The machine hegemony reached a logical agreement that focused on information exchange and computational research. Prime Unit Alpha 7 calculated that cooperation with humanity would advance machine civilization by several centuries. Unit Beta 12, Alpha 7 announced. Formal alliance with human forces increases probability of machine survival and advancement by 89.7%. Beta 12 processed this information with satisfaction. Recommended action: full cooperation with human diplomatic initiatives. Dr. Foster worked closely with alien scientists to establish protocols for limited technology sharing. The goal was to demonstrate human good faith while maintaining their technological advantages for security purposes. The key, Foster explained, to his research team is to share enough knowledge to build trust while keeping our most sensitive capabilities secure. Foster had selected several breakthrough technologies that would significantly benefit alien civilizations without compromising. Human military superiority, advanced medical techniques, improved agricultural methods, and enhanced communication systems were offered as gifts to demonstrate human peaceful intentions. 6 months after the historic revelation, the first Galactic Council session with human representation convened on a neutral world in the Outer Rim territories. Representatives from over 200 different species gathered to witness humanity's official entry into galactic civilization. Ambassador Wright took his seat among the leaders of civilizations that controlled thousands of worlds and billions of citizens. The small nameplate reading Human Colonial Defense Force seemed almost insignificant compared to the grand titles of the other representatives. Emperor Carradine called the session to order as the rotating chairman of the council. Fellow beings, today we welcome humanity as the newest member of our galactic community. The applause that followed was genuine, though Wright could sense the underlying tension that still existed. Many species were still adjusting to the reality of human technological superiority. Ambassador Wright, Carradine continued, would you like to address the council? Wright stood and looked out at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization. Honorable delegates, humanity is grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community as partners in peace and prosperity. His words were translated into hundreds of different languages and broadcast across the galaxy to billions of beings who were witnessing this historic moment. We bring to this partnership our commitment to justice, our respect for diversity, and our determination to protect the innocent, Wright continued. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to thrive together. High Chancellor Nethera rose from Psi, her crystal throne. Ambassador Wright, on behalf of the Crystalline Consortium, we welcome humanity and look forward to learning from your unique perspectives. Prime Unit Alpha 7 activated its communication systems. Logical assessment. Human integration into galactic community increases overall stability and advancement potential for all species. Over the following months, human ships began appearing openly throughout the galaxy. No longer hidden by stealth technology, they served as visible reminders of humanity's presence and capabilities. Trade routes were established, cultural exchanges began, and joint research projects started bearing fruit. Captain Rodriguez found himself commanding one of the new human patrol vessels that worked alongside alien forces to maintain peace in contested border regions. The irony was not lost on him that he was now openly protecting the same alien civilizations that his stealth missions had once secretly observed. "Lieutenant Thompson," he said while reviewing their latest assignment, "we have been requested to assist the Zephyrian Third Fleet in investigating pirate activity near the Outer Rim." Thompson smiled at how much things had changed. "Sir, it feels strange to be working with aliens who 6 months ago had no idea we existed." Rodriguez nodded in agreement. "The galaxy is a different place now, and humanity has finally taken its rightful place among the stars." The age of human isolation had ended not with conquest or destruction, but with the revelation that sometimes the greatest strength comes from showing restraint until the moment when truth must be revealed. Humanity had proven that patience, preparation, and wisdom could be more powerful than any weapon, and the galaxy was better for it.